Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Let's take you through the papers this morning. And to find out what the big stories are making the headlines, we're joined by a publisher of niche newspaper, Ikechukwu Amaechi. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My pleasure being here.
All right. Let's begin with this Nigerian newspaper. On the front page of This Nigeria, NPC excludes census funds in 2024 budget proposal. National Assembly, error not accepted. Will appropriate resources for exercise. Petroleum Ministry's allocation of 5 billion naira inadequate to address Tinubu's gas policy, says Senator Jarigbe. Gunmen kidnap high-ranking chief, 20 residents in Taraba. Niger governor drops his excellency title, adopts farmer governor. That's an interesting one. Sanwo-Olu opens Ikeja Red Line flyover to traffic. Report on Kaduna military bombing will be made public according to CDS. MTN orders to bar numbers without NIN registration. We've been hearing that for the past 20 years. Okay, that's me exaggerating. So I would like you to look at the papers. Which story jumps at you? But on a much lighter note, let's start with Niger governor dropping his excellency title and adopts farmer governor.
Well, does it matter? Those nomenclatures
exactly.
that people take. I remember it is in the same Niger state. I think they are in love with nomenclatures. The former governor came up with the servant leader or something like that, the servant governor. It doesn't matter whether you are a farmer governor or you are this. The important thing is to deliver and let the people have what is called, in local parlance here, the dividends of democracy. All these titles, they are neither here nor there. They don't actually indicate how well somebody will govern or not govern. They don't mean you are humble, that you say you are a servant leader, or you are a farmer leader, or you are a teacher leader. Does not make any difference. The reason is, how are you delivering on the promises you made to the people? And if you deliver, it will show. It's not the nomenclature that will do it for you.
Right. Maybe it's his own way of trying to, say that Niger State will be very focused on agriculture in his time as governor.
Even if he is or was a farmer before he became governor, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, let's look at the big story on this newspaper talking about this Nigeria, I beg your pardon, looking at the population census, saying that NPC excludes funds in 2024 budget proposal. So they're excluding the census funds. National Assembly has said that the error is not accepted and that they will appropriate resources for the exercise. Let's talk about census and our census issues in Nigeria. The conversation about conducting a census and what it will take. Why is that so much of a big deal? Why is that so much of a challenge? And why is it that Nigerians don't trust whenever we start to hear conversations about census come up?
It is too much of a big deal because we lie to ourselves a lot, that we deceive ourselves. Ordinarily, census should be a very important national exercise because you need to know, you need to have the statistics, you need to know the population, which will help you in planning. What we do in Nigeria, we don't do any of those things. Census is manipulated in such a way that each region, each group, they are fighting to ensure that they have advantage over and above the others, not for the purposes of planning, not for the purposes of national development. See, I continue making this point that Nigerians don't believe in Nigeria. And the things that we do are not the things that will foster growth and development and unity of the country. And you were talking about people not believing in census. It didn't start today. Almost all the distance exercises we've had in the past have been rigged in favor of one group or the other. And that is what it is all about. If it were to be for national development, if it were to be, let us know how many we are so that we know how to allocate our resources, so that we know how to plan. It would have been a different thing. But the census we are talking about, and this is why, nobody believes that this census will work, just like the way others did not work. So it's
Yeah. I think the last one was 2003 or 2006. I don't remember.
2006.
2006, yes.
Census ought to be every 10 years.
Yes.
But it has never, the one that was done in 2006 up to today is still mired in a controversy. And census has always been that way in this country. I'm not too sure that there's been any census that has been conducted in this country that people say this is a true reflection of how many Nigerians there are. And that's why we continue using projections. Today you say 200 million people. Tomorrow you say 220 million people. Nobody actually knows how many Nigerians there are.
Right.
And you can't plan, you can't develop that way.
Yeah, I mean, a country that wants to actually develop, we will do a census. You know, when you keep, falsifying figures on living with falsified figures, it shows that you have no plans of developing or knowing the number of people to plan for. Let's go to the Daily Trust, see what we can find over there. The big one on your screen there says, Tinubu's intervention, breach of constitution, SANs are speaking, and we're referring to Rivers State. There's still, of course, we always would mention some people seeking clarity on whether that document is a legitimate document or it's a real document. Because there's, people have pointed out that it seems like it's the same person that signed, all those signatures there. And of course, it has not also been shared by any government a website or anything like that. But once again, Tinubu's intervention, breach of constitution, SANs, will sacrifice for peace, says Sim Fubara. Also on the Daily Trust this morning, 14 years after Akeredolu's call for Yar'Adua's resignation, 14 years after Akeredolu's call for Yar'Adua's resignation haunts him, yes. Traditional ruler, pregnant wife, and 15 others abducted in Taraba. Peace and harmony have returned to the FCC. And also this morning, reps probe MDAs over funds to tackle out-of-school children menace. After shake-up, lobby for aviation agencies hardships begin. Also, Naira scarcity, NLC warns federal government, says CBN inciting Nigerians. Two stories that we have time to speak on. Let's quickly get you to begin on the president's intervention in Rivers State. As a father of the nation, as they normally would describe it, he has stepped in to, to of course, settle, these warring factions. We still have an FCT minister imposing himself on a state, which he was governor of. And we're just discussing it like it's football.
What was the president's intervention all about? We create guns out of men in this country, and that's why people continue to ride roughshod over all of us. Somebody becomes a president. Oh, he's the father of the nation. How? Somebody becomes the wife of the president. Oh, he's the mother of the nation. Somebody becomes a governor. He's a thing God, and nobody can challenge whatever he does. Like you said, nobody can say for sure whether there was indeed an agreement and whether a Governor Sim Fubara signed such an agreement. If he did, that will be, I don't know how to describe him, but the truth of the matter is that Fubara is not also bringing clarity to the discussion.
Yes.
He should tell us whether indeed, coming out yesterday to say that he will pay any price now for peace is neither here nor there. Peace for who? Peace on whose terms? On what conditions? There are prices you don't pay for peace. Because when you are dealing with a bully, don't forget, assuming without considering that this agreement is real, what does that say about President Bola Tinubu? Who fought President Olusegun Obasanjo to stand still? Don't forget. Because the president then seized the allocations, local government allocations to Lagos. And President Bola Tinubu said, no, this is a democracy, this is a federation, and this cannot happen. Yes, Obasanjo held onto the funds for the years, but it was paid by President Musa Yar'Adua. Now, what am I saying? What are the terms of this agreement, in whose favor was it signed? How could FUBRA, again, you know, I tell people, this is not a democracy. Anybody who must himself, I don't want to use any offensive or stronger word, anybody who must himself that we are in a democracy is simply being dishonest, because the things that happen here. And again, what is even the source of this quarrel? Why is Governor Fubara or Fubara fighting with his predecessor?
Why did he almost get impeached? You know, there are too many questions.
Is this fight because of Rivers State? Is it in the interest of Rivers State? The so-called agreement that has been signed now, how does it move Rivers State from one point to the other? How can you say it is, if it is true that this agreement was signed, it is in breach, as the senior advocates of Nigeria have said, it is in breach of the Constitution. The Constitution is very, very clear on defection of members, of lawmakers. Unless there is a major division in your party, you can't. How do you take the mandate that was given to you? Don't forget, when you go to vote, it is the logo of the political parties that is on the ballot.
Yes.
Exactly.
Not even the names of the candidates. Now, it is the political party that is presenting these candidates, and people vote for political parties. Now, you win election on the mandate of a political party, and you whimsically throw it away and say you have joined another political party. So all of a sudden, in the same Rivers State, where the people said they voted, and I'm using this voted in quote, because also we know what happened in Rivers State.
Yes.
But let us even assume that the people, that PDP actually won the election. How can you wake up in the morning and say that the 27 or the 25 members who were members of PDP are no longer, that it is APC that now controls the Rivers State?
And this is, you know, a couple of months after people voted for the PDP.
Exactly.
You know,
and
that election.
we are allowing all these things
So does it also say to you that these people in question, I'm talking about everybody now, don't actually have any regard for the Constitution or for the judiciary until they need to use the constitutional judiciary for their favor? Because that's what it means, that they've seen that what they have done is mostly unconstitutional, but it doesn't matter because the father of the nation will settle them or settle the issues and then they will go back to work.
That is what I said earlier. In the first place, for me, this is not a democracy. Anybody who is pretending that we are in a democracy, these things cannot happen elsewhere except Nigeria. And the former Governor Wike that is prancing up and down, he did this, did he do it with his money? Was it not Rivers' money?
All right. It would seem that we're not quite far from the conversation about godfatherism. It is still a very key element in Nigerian politics. We've seen it play out from the 1980s, up until now, and we don't know what the future holds. But let's move away from the Daily Trust newspaper, head over to the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning, the big stories that we're seeing, of course, National Assembly may pass budgets on Saturday, 541 MDAs and defense, I see it seems here. Senate reps to harmonize appropriation bill, Saturday for passage, Senate spokesperson says. Committees submitting reports. January to December budget cycle will be sustained, says committee chair. Tinubu to review policies affecting newspaper industry. Editors launch trust fund. 800 billion naira illicit drugs seized. 42,105 offenders nabbed, according to Marwa. Husband kills wife over food in Lagos. This is wild. 2 killed as fire raises late Alawo Akala's residence. That's really sad as well. At the top of the paper, Fubara Wike reached truce as Tinubu intervenes again. Lagos government, okay, let's move on. Final story will be Pope Francis Oke's blessings for same-sex couples. And I'll get your reactions to this last story because it will bring it back home here in Nigeria. Whilst there are people of the Catholic faith who I don't know how it will be accepted now that Pope Francis has okayed the blessings for same-sex couples. We live in a country that criminalizes the union of same-sex couples. So how do you see this being balanced out in a country like Nigeria that, of course, has not just legal strongholds against this, as well as culturally it's not acceptable to a number of people. So how do you think that this will play out in a country like Nigeria?
I'm a Catholic, if I must confess. But I think Pope Francis, and I'm sorry to say, the Catholics don't criticize the pontiff, but I think the Pope is being too liberal in the way he's addressing these issues. Biblically, sodomy, which, if you ask me, is what this same-sex marriage is all about. Marriage is a union between a man and a woman. It can never be a union between a man and a woman and a woman. That is, for me, clear perversion. And Catholic teachings are very straightforward on some of these issues. If Catholicism that does not even tolerate polygamy, that the Pope is now blessing same-sex marriage, I don't know what he wants to achieve. I know out there is a very, very big lobby, pressure from Western nations. But I don't think this will have a very huge impact on Catholicism as it is. Of course, the Anglican Church, don't forget, has its own demons it is battling with when it comes to this issue of same-sex marriage. But coming back to your question, look, this is a cultural issue. This is a cultural issue. Culturally, men don't marry men in Africa, and women don't marry women. This is a Western thing. That they have adopted it does not mean that we should adopt it. It doesn't make sense. Most of the things we are importing into our system, they are cultural abnormalities, and we can't continue on that trajectory. So I don't know what the Pope, he has been dancing around it for more than 2-3 years now, speaking tongue-in-cheek. But now that he has come out to say this, I don't also think, just like the Anglican community in Nigeria rejected it when the worldwide Anglican community went the way of lesbianism and same-sex marriage and all that. Culturally, it does not wash with us, and I don't see how people will now say because the Pope has now said it, then it must be done.
Yeah, there obviously would be a lot of clashing. what the Pope is saying, what the Church is saying, what the Nigerian government, well, not
What the
Nigeria,
law-
what
the law, Nigerian
the law
law.
is saying,
Yeah.
what countries, not just in Nigeria, actually, across the continent. I know in South Africa there's a lot more, of a liberal understanding to these things, and I think they allow a bit more of that in South Africa, or in Southern Africa actually, but in the West and in other parts of Africa, maybe not. But I think it is also fair that we open up that article well, because I did see some responses to it yesterday showing that he didn't necessarily, bless or give a go-ahead. It's just the way that it has been captioned. So we pay, I think our viewers should maybe just read up more on that
the
article
front, yeah.
and see exactly what the Pope said or what exactly he did. Ms. Amaechi, thank you very much
Thank you very
for
much.
stopping by and for, of course, sharing your thoughts on these papers and these stories across Nigeria. We look forward to having you again.
My pleasure. Thank you.